Prologue. I decided to do a prologue. Dog barking in the background. Kids are here in the other room. Speaking of the kids, they are 10 and 14, calling for me now. They don't know I'm in here doing this, but they do know that I'm doing this. And they are aware of what has happened in their lives. And all things considered, are doing extremely well. They bond with one another, even though their 10-year-old girl was kind of the dominant one and 14-year-old quiet old soul boy. And I believe that on some other level that they know that they need to be here for one another. Because the topic of this is their mom has plummeted. And again, I know what people think about, oh, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't say that, and it's not fair. She doesn't have a voice. She's had plenty of voice, and has used it to hurt our family. Actions have hurt our family significantly, perhaps generational, even though the begging, the pleading, the asks to go to therapy, the asks to go to a spiritual counselor who she agreed to, all of this has been done. Neutral parties, everything's been exhausted. I've gone to friends and family and said, please, can you step in here? And I'm now realizing in the prologue, this is after I did all of the episodes, it's finished, that there's really nothing more that I can do. And I've also arrived at a really cleansed place after all of this. It's a process. And maybe you'll stick around for this journey of the process and listen for it. Listen to where you can relate to it. Listen to where you have something in common with someone who swallowed a dark pill. In this case, it's her cult leader, who I call a cult leader. And I do believe I mentioned this in the episodes. I'm also doing this to protect our family in case something happens. I've been threatened by the cult leader's boyfriend and the cult leader. Several terrible things have been said about me, and I'm a man who actually has a public reputation. Falsehoods, lies. To watch someone who I think was an honest, beautiful human being turn into this. I wrote to her today and I said, is it okay if I mention that you've become a pathological liar? She didn't deny that. Is it okay if I mention that you have been a criminal? She didn't deny that. If anyone wants a parallel for this, watch some of these documentaries, The Vow, Wild Wild Country, Mother Love, I believe one is called. Sins of My Mother, though, when my friend popped up in there, that was when I really got alerted, because I spoke to him. I've been on his podcast a couple of times. He's the brother of Lori Vallow, who she also, just like me, has 2 children. And those children, she killed them with her cult leader that she left everything for, someone just like my now ex-wife has left to be ruled and governed and influenced in a powerful way with this woman who she has just made her guru. I have some like things that my friends have sent me from her Facebook. I'm blocked from her Facebook, but everybody sends me things because they're concerned as well, and they're noticing her ego. It's an ego that's beyond anything that I've ever seen before. It's so powerful that there is no getting in to this beautiful person. There's no getting in. And you'll hear in the episodes of all the things that she's done. The children were in therapy. She sent videos to have me reported to child services. She kidnapped the children twice, removing them from my care. She's uh, stole almost $1 million by changing the password in the account. She has been violent countless times, runs out of rooms, had Airbnb secret safe houses because she was claiming to be abused, and all of these things that she would make up that people would go along with because of who she professes to be and puts out there. There's so many things. And then when the cult leaders threaten me, this is my response to protect myself and the children. So if anything happens to me, now it's here. And you can look up, you can do the unpacking and find out who it is that I'm talking about. These are people that are so dark and sinister and in denial of it. And those are the scariest of them all. The ones who profess to be loving, the love wins and all of this. I'll read some of these. First of all, her alleged expertise is emotional alchemy. So this alone is her being an expert, my ex-wife being an expert in anything where the results are bankruptcy or stealing. It's a joke that she would actually profess to be these things. The language of our subconscious is emotions. This is someone has no control over her emotions, none. She snaps out, mediation freaks out, lawyers freaks out, neutral parties, doesn't matter, runs, completely cut off. No conscience. I'll say, hey, can you try something different? Can I just keep on showing up as this friendly, good person? And that's the funny thing is she acknowledges it. My friend told me that she wrote on Facebook. I haven't seen it. He didn't send it to me, but she wrote something about what a great dad I am. If I'm a great dad, you don't kidnap the kids twice. You don't put their dad in jail on false charges when you were the one who was violent. You don't do that. You don't do a restraining order against their father if this is what you believe. So which is it that you believe? Someone like this you can't believe. And do you recognize this in anyone you know? I don't like the labels, but the gaslighting that takes place. I said, listen, I'm not going to let the kids go out of state with you or out of, and it was to visit her family. And she says, I'm saddened that you would do that to them, forgetting how sad the children are about all of the actions that she's taken to hurt their father, who they love. I mean, we really, really get along great, me and the kids. And they would want me to do this because they do wish to speak to someone to say, help their mom. So maybe those people will listen to the children. Maybe they'll speak to them and say, what really happened? I mean, I could do that, and then people get pissed at me. You shouldn't do that. You should, well, talk to the kids if you're someone that's close. If you want to know why they're not allowed to go to her country of origin or another state, this is the reason, because I am threatened that they will be taken away. And they have no interest in that. Not that it could happen, but maybe they could do something else criminal. I have no idea. I get knocks at the door, and it's quite scary, to tell you the truth. Somebody is capable of what she's done. It's scary. It's just scary. And I have no idea where these children are. Can't get a hold of them. They both have cell phones. She's taking them to unknown locations. This is emotional blackmail. She's in the emotional alchemy business. And she's following this guru who also started it by leaving her family, all with these claims. And you'll hear about this in the episodes. And then I find out someone sends me a note that her child didn't speak to her, the one that her boyfriend beat up, by the way, and was sent to child services, allegedly, but that's pretty much confirmed. Well, that is confirmed. How much he beat him up, that's another question. They deal with things, they had think of conscious parenting. This woman's always claiming she's an expert in parenting. The kid didn't speak to her for a whole year. And then typical for her, the leader, she has to brag about things. And, she's always the expert and just doesn't listen to any feedback. And so cocky about, and she has to post a picture of her and her son with a note that he sent her, the narcissist, to appeal to her narcissism. That's the sad thing. She doesn't understand it. That's why the child sent this note to her saying what a great mom she is. And she needs to do that. She needs to post this engagement that she has with this guy that came Rundle, I call him, that he comes after me. And they're supposed to be spiritual people. He's telling me, talk about integrity. My ex-wife and them, they have so little integrity. The integrity is all about them. It's selfishness, it's narcissism, it's whatever you want. I mean, narcissism is thrown around a lot, but this really is powerful narcissism. And I never thought I'd ever think this about my now ex-wife. I never. And this is also a clarion call. This is to let you know that you just don't know someone. You just don't really, really know someone, especially when there's something going on inside of them that she admits in some of these notes. And it's all theories. When you hear people do the theories, maybe this is a theory. So I read some of these things and go, well, how do you know? How do you know? And I mean, no. Is there clinical studies? Is there data? They just wax on and on. Receiving validation in the form of romantic love will not heal inner wounding, just like fame and fortune doesn't. We can't fully heal from gaining something externally. What happens over time is we begin to sabotage the relationship because we subconsciously believe that if we are broken, unworthy, unlovable, once the partner sees the real me, they will leave. Okay, let's say that's the truth. What do you do about that? So if you're a coach, ex-wife, we're calling Lotus, then why would you not double down on getting better? I actually said, fulfill the promise that you gave the children. Promises mean nothing to someone like this. And go get help. She told them they would. And then she says, well, that I need the help. And yeah. Well, I will tell you that this process has meant a lot to me. Some people have even commented, many people have commented. Maybe you'll notice the difference between the episodes as they go. Maybe the first episode, which I haven't really listened to, will be a different demeanor from me, a different energy, because I do feel I got it out. So it had multi-purposes. I'm not quite sure. Maybe the purpose was to be able to let go and surrender. And yet that surrender is not going to include allowing the children to be hurt anymore. Allowing them to be lied to. I mean, they're going to be lied. She's going to continue to lie to them. She also had a lie where she said that she would never introduce the children to a boyfriend. And right away, the kids know all about him. She also said that we would do conscious uncoupling and not involve lawyers. And that's something, another promise she did not fulfill. She said she would split the money on mediation. Of course, I paid for all of it. This is a person. Do you know anyone like this? That they, and oh, here's what I was going to mention. I think a big issue that I have found in society is there's whistleblowers, of which that would be what I would be. And then there's the corrupt. People protect the corrupt. It's just some paradigm that takes place that it's fascinating to me. I'll even bring up something that'll, conspiracy theorist or whatever it is, I'll bring up a theory, even on the cult thing. And it's amazing to me how people will rush to the attack of the one revealing, the truth teller. And they have a million responses for that. How do you know the truth? How do you know it's your truth? Whatever it is. So she also writes, this is the irony is it's another lie. she puts things out there that she knows. I told her that people spy, or not spy, but people send me things that are observing her and go, what the hell's wrong with her? Doesn't matter to her. Nothing matters. Anything that's said from any outside source, nothing gets through to this absolutely heartless, with this hippie person outside. Heartless, cruel, completely cut off person. And again, I'll say it a million times, this is the saddest thing I've ever seen. And of course, no one in her inner circle won't do anything because she lies to them about the scenarios. They would probably dislike me, and they have cut me off, and so on. But I wish they'd talk to the children. They are really clear. Even though they're young, they're very clear, even on mommy's lies and what she did and how she just blew them apart, how she moved into a house and put everything into the house and was planning to leave and called it an escape and all this stuff. They've watched the violence. They've witnessed all of this. They witnessed the one who really is the only one who's abusive is the female. It's tough. It's tough for people to get. I've been told many times, I've been around the world. I have a very fortunate life. I'm really incredible, even though it's a lot of difficulties starting from the get-go. And I'm able to observe the world and write about it and succeed in the writing and so forth. But I've never seen anything like this. I've seen the cults, and my dad had his own cult and so on. But this is just different. Where, anyway, I'm going to read what she wrote here on her Facebook page, which is constantly conning people, trying to get people to build wealth, of which, hey, folks, if she's building wealth, then she owes me support, because the person who makes the more money pays the support, which would be me. I still pay her support. I pay child support. I pay alimony, all that stuff. She already bilked me for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, if not, oh God, I just worked my whole life, and I worked on that marriage, and then it just goes to show you just don't know anyone. You could be sleeping with the devil. I don't know. So she says, someone accused me of being in a cult, she writes. Now, we know that's me because I've said it many times. Or, well, if that's true, this is my cult leader. Mr. Blank is a visionary who lives in Okinawa and built $1 billion company, stands for physical health, financial health. So she goes on and on about this. And it's a pitch. That's the thing, is she and the idol, they're pitching all the time to follow them. But there's nothing to follow except for your excitement, your phony excitement over these connections and tribes and everything they call it. That's what a cult is. So maybe this person who has this multi-level marketing business that they are involved with, right? Yeah, great intentions. And we are celebrating island right now. No man is an island. We grow through partnerships, relationships, and community. Yeah, you grow through partnerships. And you go through the difficult times in partnerships. We're in partnership with your children and your husband, and that's your partnership, not strangers. And I remember watching this happen with other people in my family, where strangers or outside sources are more important than the inside. And I spent a life wanting what we had, just longing for a family. And here we go. The kids are just beautiful and funny and fun, and then just kaboom, big giant dynamite. So she's lying here because she knows that I'm not saying this is the call. I've never even heard of this group. It's another business of hers, which is probably the 7th one she's had with this cult leader. So if you want to argue with me and get mad at me because I call it a cult, well, it is a cult. I've just done the research. I've talked to someone from the Vow whose daughter was in the cult, Nexium. I've talked to all of the cult people. I talked to my friend Adam, whose a sister, Lori Vallow, is in a cult. A cult can be one person with just a few others. It's somebody who has that charismatic way about them. And this broke woman has that. She gets people to follow her. and they exchange on here with this, like, it's a disgusting love story when you've got this family who loves you and just wants you, and you just say, no, the hell with the family. I'm just going to selfishly go for someone that's going to appeal to my ego. And that's what cult leaders do. Their ego is being appealed to, but they know how to hold on to people. This is your warning sign. They know how to hold on to people because it's a transactional thing. They need one another to feed each other's egos. So they answer each other on here, and this is because we avoid pain at all costs, and it takes courage to be willing to look. And then Broke says, you nailed it on the head. 3 exclamation points. They're so filled with exclamation points. It's like a guy with a small penis, these two. They overcompensate. And most people are onto it. I don't think they're making any money. I know that she's not making any money, but they just act like they have it all together. They have all the answers. She talks about the reformed relationship with Broke's son. She's going to have to heal her relationship with her children. I can guarantee that because it's already happening. And maybe this is another effort to say to her family and friends, by the way, you might want to talk to her and get her priorities straight. You might want to research this woman Broke and figure it out. Who's pulling strings? She pulled strings on a woman who was vulnerable, midlife, hormones, tragedy from her past that she has not healed from, trauma, and she talks about this. So if you're talking about it here and you admit to it here, ex-wife Lotus, why would you not try to, for the children's sake, rehabilitate or go to an expert, be diagnosed, something besides going to Facebook and just going back and forth with this Broke woman, pontificating about feeling our emotions doesn't mean we lash out and throw it on others. That can cause harm. She writes this. It's exactly what she does. Feeling our emotions doesn't mean we wallow in them forever. Yeah, you've wallowed and been victim. Begin to see the gift in them. Well, what's the gift? What have we seen as the gift? Our family. I feel excitement for my upgrade. Where's the upgrade? We haven't seen any upgrade whatsoever. You're talking to strangers, trying to lure them into a business, and that is cult-like. A lot of multi-level marketing people, I do believe in multi-level marketing, but there's so many that are in this wellness community with the same language, emotional alchemy and all this kind of stuff. And then Broke says, I love this photo, you and this business. That's what, so Broke, the mighty Broke has confirmed, I love this. We are wired to be together. And it's so much capital fun to dream with others. And then Lotus responds, it is so true. If you stopped working tomorrow, would you still get paid? If you died tomorrow, all of this stuff about business, creating freedom. I'm going to implore anyone who's having a difficult time in their relationship, don't do this to your family. Just abandon ship and put your power into others. Don't be led by someone who's a fraud. You don't think that they are. You go into denial. Do your best not to let it happen. I let it happen. I could have done a lot of other things. Well, one of the things that even she, in all of her text messages, I believe it's in the episodes, she has countless text messages about how generous, a good person, kind, great father. She says all these things and treats me like absolute dirt with complete disrespect, disdain, hatred, cruelness, running out of rooms when I'm trying to talk to her, trying to getting neutral parties involved and running away from them, screaming, tantrums, freaking out, violence, punching me, hitting me, throwing a remote in my face. These are all the things that happen, charging me, ripping my clothes off, scratching me, clawing at me in front of the children. All of these things take place, pulling out a camera, threatening to call the police when I'm shining peace signs. This is off the top of my head. This is not normal behavior. but our country, our world somehow makes abnormal behavior normal. They fight for these people as they will fight against me and be angry at me for doing this, shouldn't do this to your children, and all that kind of stuff. I'll hear it. I know it because I already have heard it. I've reached out to people, and the feedback is either ignore me or just go along with her and just believe what her narratives are. No one digs any deeper than that. They just make the assumptions, oh, the big white successful guy with the big mouth and a following and all that kind of stuff. Oh, it's got to be him. And you have a voice and she doesn't. Yeah, I've got a few more followers. Same voice though. She has the same voice I have and expresses herself with these posts, which is no different than this post. And I'm sure she'll have her responses, but unfortunately, this response isn't like, I've had enough. I'm sorry I hurt all of you. And that's what a cult leader does. I've seen another one where these dancers, these sisters, they love one another. They dance together. They have a huge TikTok following, and one gave herself over to this cult. And now they're fractured, and the parents are heartbroken. Hear this. Me, my son, my 10-year-old daughter, we are heartbroken over their mom's actions. The actions are not one of good spirit, emotional alchemy, anything that she teaches, coaches, talks about commitment. Doesn't have commitment. She has commitment to ego, to self, and to her guru. That's what's been demonstrated. That's just a fact. She's just a friend. It's a lie. She says it even in her own posts, my tribe, and they photos of each other. Oh my God, they're like lovers and coming out of the water together with these big phony smiles, like they're conquering the world. They're overcompensating their little penises. That's what it's like. The woman broke constantly has to brag about her orgasms and domination and sadomasochism. And by the way, I want to protect my daughter and my son from this as well, from being exposed to this. Unfortunately, Broke's children are exposed to it because she pontificates and puts these posts out talking about, the sexual freedom and all of this, orgasms. Come on, mamas, follow me, and all that mamas and all this. This is what she does. She manipulated this beautiful, beautiful mother. I remember one of the best days of my life. This is a strange one, but it just comes up to my mind. We went to birth class, and she has a lot of friends from this birth class, friends who I really respect and love. I probably said this in one of the episodes. I'll say it anyway. I pulled up. I'll never forget the feeling I had of what a good person I am. This is not in a braggy way or ego way. It's just, I just felt great because she pulled up. They all had a smile on their face, like, oh, here's the guy that's cooking for her newborn baby, was there for the birth, helped out with the whole water birth, which is not my jam, but I made it my jam. I learned, and I got in there and helped pull him out and everything, both children, but he was difficult, our son. And what do you want? What can I make for you? Anything I can do to be of service to this family. And I have done that, sacrificed and just worked really hard and kept us in a lifestyle and so on. And to be slapped in the face by going to a stranger and doing these businesses without showing me the respect of showing me a business plan, taking money, thousands and thousands of dollars away from me and just claiming that it's yours, it's half yours, that you're entitled to it. This entitlement that exists in our planet right now is just out of hand. The lack of accountability, it's out of hand. She doesn't have accountability. And that's what happens when people get sucked into some ego maniacal person who is affirming you. And guess what? Someone told me I've all these letters from other people. They said, if she stopped having transactions with her, that would be the end of their alleged friendship and partnership and the tribe and all that. Be the end of it. She's not serving the master anymore. She serves a master. And it's disgusting to watch. That woman, and you're going to hear in the episodes, I'm going to go all over the place with my emotions And I don't want to do a spiritual bypass. I don't want to do a bypass on this and sound like some good guy who's healed and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's stuff that's not complete. Yeah, go with me on this. Go with me on this journey. It's exhilarating, exciting, sad. It's mysterious. It's has intrigue. It's got all of this stuff. It's puzzling. That's what these episodes end up to be. Like any journey in life, it's going to have all of it. It's going to have emotion. It's going to have stalls. It's going to have questions. It's going to have all of it. And you will have opinions on how you would have handled it. I remember any situation, anything like the OJ case. I remember, what would I do if I was innocent? Well, this is one of the things I would do. I would get out and I'd tell the truth. Truth that if you challenge me, I will show evidence. I have videos. I have all this proof, all the witnesses, everything else. People in the schoolyard who watched her punch me. Somebody else that pulled up as she was throwing a remote in my face. This is all the truth. Police that were called. But the police turned to me and they said, big guy, what are they going to do? Men are not protected. And that's not a sexist thing. You can be angry all you want. Men are just not as protected as women are. That's a fact. And I understand how women should be protected because the men have always been traditionally stronger and have been a dominant beast. And I grew up with a single mom and I watch how it works, how society works. I have complete empathy. But the understanding part, I don't have for someone that fell prey. I watch these other documentaries. I go, who does this? Who could be? That's part of the fascination. Who could do this? What's the character study on this? What's the character study on her? She's mentioning unhealed trauma. She definitely has tons of that. Well, why not heal it within your marriage so you can keep the structure of a family together because you're breaking a family apart, sending messages to the children, hey, abandon ship, go with any egomaniacal move that you want to make. Be selfish. They talk about the wellness grifters and people like this. They talk about self-love. It's selfish. It's selfish. That's another word for it. There's so much BS that's out there. There's so much that's going on right now that just back and forth. These ideas that people have that have everything to do with just being a spoiled brat, not challenging yourself, not being accountable, not be reasonable. You'll hear in the episodes also an accountability that I so believe in. I don't believe in just blame. Hopefully you won't hear that. That's not what this is. Not a blame. It's not a victim thing. I am trying to prevent us from being victims again because I've been a sucker. I've been a sucker and kind and considerate and reaching out. And just recently, I think it was a month ago, I got her a tarot reading and a massage and a sound bath. That's what it was. Thank you. She's so happy because just that's how she is happy is when you kiss up to her. And she's probably thanking me for letting the other stuff go. It's very hard to do when you're threatened. You'll hear about the threats and you'll read the actual proof. I have a question now whether I'm going to have a restraining order because I'm telling her I'm not letting you out of the state because you've kidnapped and so forth. But someone like this that's so far gone can't hear reason. Do you know anyone like that? Do you know anyone that's being led? There's a mob mentality that goes on out there. And if you challenge the opposition, or you challenge the person that they believe in, let's put it that way, you are going to have fury that comes back at you. We don't come from a self-reflective society. I like to self-reflect. I like to take a sacred pause. I like spiritus, a Latin word for breath, and take that big, giant breath, that moment of clarity where higher source takes over. Some of this goes there and some of this doesn't. Some of this comes from a place of fear and some of it comes from just courage, resiliency. That's the person I'm proud to have become and be their father. First go around with the other two children, tough stuff. That was maybe worse. because those children didn't know any better except for what their mom pummeled into them, this messaging that was pummeled into them, where discipline, not even discipline, I don't even discipline, but my suggestions or my saying, hey, follow through when you pitch or whatever it is, it's abuse, it's abuse, it's abuse. So you get the tag abuse. That word is also overused. I mean, I hope I'm getting through to some people to not overuse these words that are tossed about like they're real. They're not real. There's no precedence. There's nothing through centuries where this system works, that they work under, this selfish system. Greedy. Another person pointed out, one of my spiritual leaders, so it was also hers, my ex-wife's, he was talking about greed. And the ego takes over and becomes greedy and completely out of it. If she's listening to this right now, which I doubt she will because she can shut things out so easily, it's not making a speck in her heart, not a pin drop in her heart. The heart has been closed off, but there's this alleged person with this huge heart with smiles and lighting that's great. One time it was a gift, I got her a vanity light. It was the best gift ever for her. She loved this vanity light, so she could get in front of it and just flowery language to get these approvals, which she talks about in relationships, but that's what she's getting from outside people. Approval. You're right. Right on, girl. Yeah, sister. You're my sister. There's a toxic femininity that's going on out there, and it's frightening and it's scary. Okay, it is. And don't call me a sexist. Don't call me misogynist because I say this. It just takes place. As a matter of fact, I protected her, not protected her, but I would say for years, because she was such a great human being, I'd say to people, there's guys, I'm going to be honest, the guys are out there going, bitch, she's all these horrible things that they would say, all women are crazy. I'd say, well, guess what? I found one who's not. And she knows that I would say that. I absolutely said it with conviction for years, for at least 10 years. I'd say, wow, no, I found the one who's not like that. And little did I know that she would subject herself to not one cult, but two. She was in the other one, which you'll hear about as well. Two different cults, two different leaders that really rely on the confusion you face when you're over 40. It all starts changing. Your mind, your body, your spirit changes. That's a fact. So stop getting angry with the fact is that people change. So it's not a sexist. It's not an ist. Let's go with narcissists. And that's what some people become, and they're fed. Their egos are fed. They put it out there in ways where you will join them. Now, am I doing that? Probably. I don't know. I don't know. I'm very sincere about wanting to share with people these discoveries, these warnings. Watch for people like this. I think wellness is wonderful. I'm one well dude. I mean, I really do practice it. I'm very, very, very healthy. Very, very, very spiritual. Well, I was just out fishing with one of my best friends as a pastor. Just got off the phone. Another pastor today for an hour. I will consult and continue to consult to get better and better and better so I can have the proper tools to deal with something else that happens from her camp, some other craziness. It's insanity. Insanity, definition of insanity is the same behavior expecting different results. Now, get angry with me for saying she's insane. So that's the way, that's what we're stuck in here. I'm also thinking for you, some of you, and I've just seen it. I've just seen some people that don't take a pause. Just take a sacred pause for a moment and try not responding the usual way. Open up. Open up to maybe someone in your life, or maybe someone you can listen to this story. with an openness that says, oh, let me hear how this unfolds. Let's hear the organic unfolding of this. And I have no script. I have a couple things that I'll read in the episodes. I'll read them, the definition of a cult and a few other quotes from other people. I've been sent letters from people that are going, oh my God, Lotus is in a cult. They describe it better than I do, so I read it. Yeah, but most of what I say is just, it's including this. I plan on 15 minutes. Of course, it's overtime. This prologue. But I wanted to introduce this in a way that I don't think I did in episode 1. Maybe I did. Maybe I'm going to repeat myself. I don't know. I didn't listen to it. But I hope you stick with us through the whole thing. I do know that there is a relaxed person here, even though you've heard you have different emotions and things like that. One thing I probably should go to is pissed off. I try not to. I really do. I've been dating, and in the dating world, one wouldn't even go on a first date because she asked me about my conflict resolution before we even started. I said, well, I just believe in don't have conflict. There's really no reason for conflict if you just ask for clarification on something I say, which you could do as well. You can DM me, and the clarification will be my intention is always, always good. I have a big heart, done a lot for other people. How they respond to that, I can't help that. It does build resentment when you do rescue people, and I understand that. So these are my crosses to bear, if you will, to figure some of that out when I do help someone and they don't thank me. All that kind of stuff happens to me, and it's a little sad. Been cut off by other family members. I've been, attacked and so on, and people assume things and make a story and things like that. And I'm powerless over that, but it's still sad. And there's nothing I can really do to control that. But I still want to keep control over, my temperament. It's not just won't do any good to be pissed off or yell or attack. And I've had plenty of justified yellings, by the way. I'm nowhere near perfect in this situation or any. I do have something inside of me, though, of being bullied when I was younger. There is that, you're not going to do this to me. And that's a little bit of element here. You're not going to do this to me, Lotus. You're not going to get away with taking advantage of me anymore. There's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of cry for help that she's crying for help. I really believe that's a big core. She's crying for help in all that she does. She just keeps deflecting. All these things that she writes, they're not true. She doesn't go by any of this, lost their integrity. Who wants to be in business with that? How are you supposed to succeed like that? You're just lying to people. You're just lying to your family. You lie to your children. You lie to your ex-husband. This new guy that she has, she's going to pack him full of lies, and he's going to believe it. Who's not to believe somebody that looks like this? She's beautiful, like no makeup, beautiful, natural. Does the whole thing. The whole picture is painted for you to believe. That's the warning that I will give you is go beyond the picture, go beyond the image, go beyond what they want you to believe. And don't be afraid to unpack it. It is scary. It is scary. And I'm a denial guy. See red flags and paint them green. That's what I do. It's all part of my lessons. These are all part of my lessons. And I'm so proud of the dad I am. So proud of who they are, mostly. I'm about to go in the other room and watch The Godfather with my son. My daughter's probably not going to watch with us, too young. But I love that he wants to watch that with me, a classic movie. We watched The Offer. We just finished watching that, the episodes of The Offer, and he got into it. My daughter did too, a little bit. But they get the truth of who I am. They don't get the phony. They watch mommy turned into a phony. They watch mommy bring them into the world and stop. Just stopped. Stopped working on herself where she could show up. Stopped working on herself where she could be true and honest. Stopped working on herself where she could be organic and authentic, a word that is thrown out there by the wellness grifters, and it's not true. This podcast you're about to listen to is as authentic as it gets. It's going to call myself on things. It's going to call her on things. It's going to call a lot of people on things. The cult leader, obviously, the other cult leader, the cult leader's boyfriend. It's going to get called out. And wait till you hear some of what transpires, and you tell me it's not a cult. If someone acts like this, where my son turned and said, "You never knew mommy before broke," and he did, and he knew this beautiful person, inside out, beautiful person, amazing mother, until she got sucked into this woman who said, "Come on, mamas, get your sovereign freedom, get out of your golden cage." That was the message that she received. She lived it. She watched that woman brag about cheating on her husband, and so I knew it was done. Come on, follow me, follow me, follow me, no matter what it was, justifying these things, rationalizing these things, bragging. I was like, why do you need to brag about this stuff? All right, have your orgasm. Good. Be dominated, whatever it is. Why do you have to put it out on social media? What are you missing inside, broke? That you need to do this. You need to convince people that life is some beautiful life you've created, and now you have Rundle, meet Rundle. I'll never forget that announcement. Oh my God. Just why don't you just hang out with the guy and have a good time with the guy and not have to tell everybody how you have changed and how they should follow you? No. Lotus followed you, your pathway, and destroyed 2 children's lives for the rest of their lives because she didn't have the courage to step away from you. I'm just directing this at broke. She didn't have the courage to be herself. She didn't have this courage to explore within in dangerous areas that she hadn't dealt with, the suicides that she didn't deal with, the difficult things with family, the mental illness, didn't deal with it, wouldn't even be diagnosed. I asked her a million times, just go be diagnosed. Why would you not do that? What kind of egomaniac won't even be diagnosed? Told the kids, they told me tonight, well, she said, you left rehab. Yeah, I went to rehab for codependency because I did it. Just another thing I did, just maybe she'll go, maybe she'll do something, drastic enough. And she said, I'll go if you go. And I went and I left because they had a masking rule suddenly. And the woman walks in with a mask and the leader, and it was a rehab, and I was in, I didn't really, I don't know. It was a little immature for me. Like, everybody's like sickly and stuff like that. I wasn't that into it. I'm a real, strong, healthy guy, and I really believe in mind over matter and stuff like that. So anyway, I wasn't really digging it anyway, but she walks, everyone has to wear masks now. There's a new variant. I said, show me where it says to wear a mask. Where's the data to support this? Oh no, people want to be right, and they don't like when I challenge them, and I understand that. A lot of people don't like me for that. That's a metaphor, symbolic thing. That woman was looking at me with her mask on, with her eyes, these eyes that were just so dark and empty, because she was just repeating what the mob told her to do. I was being logical and going, this mask isn't doing any good. What is this? Now it's come out, by the way, I was right. But anyway, I left rehab because I said, I'm here to learn how to draw boundaries, and I'm drawing a boundary. I'm not wearing this mask in these sessions. She said, you're going to have to leave. I said, great. So now that I did that, I left. So that was our condition. It's like, the condition should be, go take care of yourself, Lotus. You should volunteer so that you don't abandon a family like this and lie to your children constantly lie and not honor agreements or vows or anything like that. That should be first with integrity, and it stopped. And there's no sight. There's no end. There's no end in sight on how low she'll go. Lower than worm sperm, she will go. And it's tragic. So welcome to the tragedy. I hope some of this is funny. I hope some of it's enlightening. I hope some of it's inspiring. I hope some of it might lead you into a different direction, an examination, a self-examination. That'd be great too. What if you're a narcissist? What if you're hurting people? Maybe you might want to take that sacred pause, that spiritus, that breath. Just try it. Try. I'm not going to do the same thing and expect different results. The insanity. I'm just going to stop. I'm going to listen to when people say I'm hurting them, and that's something she doesn't do. Doesn't stop for a moment. Say, I don't want to do this anymore. Somehow I hold on to those words that she's going to say that someday. So what happens at the end is I don't hold on to the words. I don't hold on to the outcome. There's a release that takes place. There's a surrender. Like in The Wizard of Oz, skywriting, surrender, Dorothy. That's when true magnificence can happen. That's when true healing happens. That's when true purpose, fulfillment, and love happens. I'm now feeling love in my life. That's the prologue to where you're headed here. I feel love in my life. I feel peace. Of course, it's not always that way. Just forget the analyzing. What about this? And you sounded angry. No. In general, on a much more daily basis, on a regular basis, I feel freedom, not the false freedom that she's promised by her guru, the sovereign freedom. I feel freedom from my agenda for changing her, controlling her, wishing for her to come back. All of those things, I feel freedom in letting go. And now I can let love in. Now I can receive love that's truly healthy. It doesn't have an agenda, that's not using me. It's not rescuing. The rescuing is so my ego could be fulfilled because they'll thank me. And the lesson for you to learn is if you're a rescuer and a fixer, the exact opposite. The exact opposite consequences happen from that. They resent you. This is my data conclusion. It happens. I was going to say 9 out of 10 times. It's probably 10 out of 10 times where I think that the people, my theory is that I think they believe that you have a God complex. Like I could have done this myself anyway. She could have succeeded on her own without me. And unfortunately, I think there's a lot of women now who believe once they have the kids, you're not needed anymore, fellas. Take a pause on that one, folks. Ladies, why would you want to do that? Why are we not connected divinely? Where we don't need one another, but we want one another. There's so many people that are so solid now. I don't need. It's this voice that repeats itself. Is it true? I don't know. I know I need other people. I need other people. I don't need them every minute, every day, and codependent and all. No, of course I don't. But it's so enriching to connect with someone, which we had. It's so beautiful. So I had those years that I can hang on to and know that I am capable of that. And that's part of the self-love, is knowing myself enough, continue down that path, that journey. Transformation, positive transformation. That's your prologue to open up. My wife joined the cult. funny title. I thought it was provocative enough to draw the attention to bring someone to it. I do a number of episodes, and I have no idea where it's going to go from there. But this is just like Forrest Gump when he's finished. He goes, I don't know what he says, but something like, I was done. That's what I am. So enjoy, be inspired, whatever it is. Slide into my DMs. You want to talk about something, ask about something, be curious. That's something our country misses, is be curious. Stop knowing it all. The attacks, or you know it all. It's just projection. Projections, projecting things you were not examining. Go on a self-expedition before you say something about someone else. Think about what's being said here. Listen. Be curious. Where would that come from? Why would that happen? Why would he say that? Does he have an agenda? Is this guy lying? I think you'll see.